Well, I just wanted to give my Patreon supporters a little bonus video here of a Kirby that I'm polishing. You can see we're having to work out some of these gnarly scratches. This Kirby is on loan from another collector because I want to do some Kirby videos. And, you know, I wouldn't just do Kirby videos. I have to polish the Kirby. You can see where I've started to remove. Before I'm going to do any real videos with it, because it was so bad I thought, you know, I don't want it to look like I'm just using some junky Kirby, even though this Kirby has a fairly new brush roller and the newer style emptier and all that. So yeah, we're going to show you real quick what I'm doing with this Kirby. Alright, so what we're doing with polishing these Kirby parts, basically it's a two-step process. We have a couple tools here. We're going to be using a very fine 1600 grit adjustable speed belt grinder. And what that is usually used for is knife making. But in this case we're going to use it to fix Kirby. And then we're going to be using this, most people will be familiar with. Is just a buffer wheel with some German-made apply-on polish. And that we'll be doing real quick with this, again, slow-moving Beldor grinder over here. So now that my Patreon supporters have gotten to see my super secret lair, where I have more tools than you would expect, and as you can see, obviously we're in Hawaii. Alright, so we have our Kirby piece and we're going to get to work with it. As always, safety first. We've got eyeglasses on. And when I say also safety first, you know I emphasize air quality. So there's two things to improve air quality in this room. One is we have negative air pressure with a giant exhaust fan with that basically within 30 seconds moves all the air through the room. And then we also have a dust collector that's sucking stuff up through there. Turn this bad boy on. Get something in there. Adjust the tracking level. See, this is a really deep scratch I'm trying to remove. Alright, so basically what's happened is this scratch is so deep that I'm really not making any progress with that 1600 grit belt, so we're going to go down to an 800 grit real Trizac belt and see what happens. Again, just tracking. We can see that that's starting to come out real nice. See, the scratch is completely gone, but now that finish is, it's actually really cool, but it's not the mirror finish that we want with the Kirby. So we switch belts again. We're going to try this. Adjust this. You can see it's starting to change again. So I'm actually pretty satisfied with what we're doing with that belt today. Alright, now we're going to go and see how fine the grit is on that. It's a 9,000 grit belt or something like that. Some ridiculously micro-fine belt. And these belts are really sharp on the edge. That's kind of, you have to be a little bit more careful with this. The belt can actually cut you on the side of this. Alright. You can see that that's really is putting a nice, almost mirror finish just with the belt real quick. Just covering up our sins there. So that's where that's going to lie, and now we're going to do some fine polishing. See, I've now changed to a micro belt, and that's, the scratches are all gone, and put kind of a nice finish, but we want to really clean these lines up and get rid of these lines and really give it a nice finish. So we're going to go to something a bit finer. Alright, we've now switched the dust collector to the buffer wheel. We're going to get buffing. Put some of that on. Again, the condition that that's in. Just flies everywhere. Stuff always makes quite a bit of a mess. Just that. Well, you guys can see, this is the original. After I buffed it, there was no extra scratching, and this is what we got. Now, I tried to go to a finer belt, which ended up being coarser, so I'll have to go back and redo that, but that's pretty much what it's going to look like once I do a little bit more buffing here. And you can see that's got a nice, beautiful finish now. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the Kirby kind of off camera because this takes hours. But that's briefly how we polish Kirby. We are in the secret spot in my shop again, and we have finished polishing. And yes, you can probably see my face in that. That is just super polished. We have, you can just see, give you an idea, you can just see the polish right there. That we have polished this Kirby stuff. We've also serviced the Kirby as well, but given a new silicone gasket, you can just see that is quite the thing. You can see my face in that. That's so cool. So we gave it some love. And just to recap on the process, the first thing I did was I took a Trizac, it's an A60 belt. It's about 800 grit. No, this is the 830. This is 800. I used 1200 grit. My bad. Belt. Then we took a belt over here. This is a real fine. This is actually a 4,000 grit belt that we used, and then I used a 6,000 grit belt. Then we brought it over here, and we put it, of course, on the wheel. This guy. And then we used a combination of three things. We used your coarse, your medium, and your fine. And that, again, is how we came up with the mirror finish. And you can just see there are just like fingerprints on this. These smudges are fingerprints. And the thing, I don't know if you guys can really see the texture of this, but the texture of this is kind of weird. It looks like there are scratches right here, and they're not actually from my buffing. They're impurities in the aluminum. And one thing I noticed versus the Heritage and the older Kirbys is this G6, the aluminum, is just not as high of grade. Again, it doesn't need to be super high grade. In fact, it doesn't even need to be aluminum. There's no reason why this whole piece couldn't be plastic. It wouldn't affect anything.
From plastic.
Yeah.
From plastic.
Yeah. This, again, wouldn't affect anything if it was plastic. This is probably the only...
Be a Kirby either.
This is probably the only part that really needs to be metal.
Nozzle does.
So of course Reggie went overboard on the blue tape. I said put a strip here, put a strip here. No, it's the whole thing. Oh well. So we're gonna polish that up.
Well, what you didn't show is how I got around the edges real nice and crisp.
Yeah, I saw that you did that.
Well, you didn't show it. That's alright.
Probably cut it off or something.
Yeah,
so now we got to put the Kirbys back together. We're going to put this back together, and the magic of editing, you'll get to see it all together. All right. Well, we've assembled the Kirbys, and I want to just show you. I'm going to zoom in. We're just going to show you just how that looks. In fact, we probably should have rolled the sexy music.
Oh yeah.
That's how well it was done.
Looks about 1,000 times better than it did.
Sounds good, looks good. Been through the machine inside and out. Has a new brush roller in it.
Yeah, I put that in when I first got it.
And we're running a HEPA bag.
I just discovered something I didn't know when I bought the machine, that somebody had broken and then glued this.
Yeah, so that one thing will need to be replaced. We're going to replace these hubcaps.
Yeah.
But for our testing, the Kirby's is up and running.
And looking good.
And looks great.
Yeah.
So again, thank you so much for your support on Patreon. We're going to do some more tests with this Kirby's and get back to you on it. As always, thumbs up, subscribe, and go on over to our Instagram if you want to see what's hip, what we're doing.